Some say life is the sum total of moments and experiences. Many of us understand that these moments many times are mundane, but they are dotted with extraordinary moments. All of you are here today because you have somehow been affected by one of those moments, whether by being an encourager to Alex, to being a friend, family, classmate. You are here today because you have shared in one of those moments with Alex. And as a community that is knit together by this similar person in common, you are welcome here. And we are so deeply glad that you are here. My name is Joe Moore. I'm a minister at First Unitarian Universalist. This is an inclusive community that encompasses many faiths. It is an open space for expression, a value that was important to Alex and who she was. And so we invite you through this entire process to, even just for this brief moment that we are gathered, that you can feel like you belong and that you are at home. When discussing with Holger earlier and addressing the futility of this endeavor of how to encapsulate the entirety of life in such a short amount of time, we realize that this gathering here today is in no way sufficient to encapsulate the significance of who Alex is and was and continues to be in your lives. And undoubtedly, many of y'all will continue to carry her and her story onward from today. In Unitarian Universalist tradition, we have a lighting of the chalice. This flame is not exclusive to the Unitarian Universalist belief system. Many people and their beliefs invoke flame. This flame is a source of comfort. It is a source of warmth in a cold time. And it is a connecting flame that integrates all of our hearts together in one. And so as we join in this moment together, we acknowledge that one person's sorrow is all of our sorrows, that one person's loss is all of our loss, and that we are stronger as a community together, grieving together rather than apart. As at this time I invite Holger to come forward and speak to Alex's life.
Alex died early in the morning on Christmas Eve of acute liver failure and other symptoms after she took a large amount of pills. Alex was born 24 years ago on Long Island in New York State. I had met her mother when both of us were international students at Virginia Tech, and I was doing research at Brookhaven National Lab during the first 2 years of Alex's life. Although she was just a baby and then a very young girl, she had clear memories of that part of her life. We talked about the daycare center there and the house we lived in and the library. Her mother took her too often during the day when I was at work. In 2002, we moved to Illinois, where Alex's sister Naomi was born in 2004. There were many good days and play dates with her friends from preschool and later elementary school and with neighbors. Alex had some good and some bad memories from those years and liked the Chicago area and friends she made there. She was a Chicago Cubs fan, even maybe especially after we moved to Wichita. Alex and Naomi also spent about half a year, almost a full school year actually, with my parents in Germany during that time. Alex became fluent in German, attending second grade there. Again, she made many friends easily. She was really happy staying with my parents away from the volatility of her mother. We visited Germany many times, and I'm glad that she could get to know her grandparents, some great-grandparents and other relatives over the years. In 2008, we moved to Wichita, where I took a position at the university here. Alex really did not want to leave the Chicago area. She had made friends there and enjoyed the big city nearby. But in time, she made new friends in Wichita and eventually decided to study at Wichita State University, in part because, again, she did not want to leave friends behind. Before that, she attended Price Harris Elementary. We were close during those years. I remember a winter talent show, Christmas concert they put on, and her music teacher convinced her to sing a German Christmas song on stage. We practiced it many times, but the evening of the show, she was too shy to sing it by herself and gestured for me to join her on stage. And we sang that song and got standing ovations. And I think it moved me so much because Alex trusted me fully back then. When I was there, she was safe, even when it was about singing, for which I have absolutely no talent. At Robinson Middle School, Alex enjoyed the challenges of the pre-IB program. Her mother was very demanding and controlling and increasingly irrational and paranoid, and we got divorced, and the girls were living with their mother most of the time. Alex prepared many meals and looked out for Naomi the best she could, shielding Naomi from their mother's outbursts. Some of this I only learned about later. Some of it I knew at the time and could not do much about. Either way, I understand that Alex came to resent me for not helping her and her sister, and maybe also for staying in a relationship that years earlier had stopped being healthy for me or for the girls. Alex's mother moved back to South Korea when her family there stopped financially supporting her, and Alex and Naomi moved in with me. Alex and I were living under one roof, but not really together. She could be stubborn and uncompromising, and I must admit that I came to resent her a little bit too. It wasn't until I met Lucy that I gained a new perspective and the support I needed to heal, or at least begin to heal, my relationship with the girls. And thus, although Alex and Lucy had a strained relationship, Lucy was important to Alex also. Early last year, Alex mentioned how schizophrenia and paranoia have a genetic component, and the onset is often around the age of 23, when children inherit traits of mental illness from a parent. Despite that very rational approach to her mental health, when Lucy died unexpectedly in May of last year, it pushed Alex over the edge mentally. She spent the early summer in a manic state, trying to fix all the problems in the world, from poverty to violence to animal rights and sanctuary. Not seeing results fast enough, she became increasingly frustrated and blamed the lack of success on her friends who, in her perception, were not sufficiently supportive of her efforts. And by early fall, she had broken up with her boyfriend and alienated practically all her friends, burned all bridges. She lived alone with her pets in the house she and her boyfriend had moved to earlier. Some days she would act pretty irrational, other days she would be almost her old self. No matter if it was a good day or a bad day, she was always compassionate and wanted to help others. I hope those who received insights from her during that time, which is pretty much everybody, realize that it was her mental illness speaking and not the person she was most of her life. Alex was gifted in many ways. She learned to fold origami, in part so she could always make an origami bird or dragon from some scrap paper as a toy for a kid on a playground, or whoever looked like they needed a toy and didn't have one. So I invite you to later fold an origami dragon yourself, if you like, to remember Alex by. She played the cello and in debate and forensics helped her team win championships. She would do well at almost anything she set her mind to. She put her conflict resolution ability and people skills to work in many different settings. She majored in women's studies and political science and was awarded a Bachelor's of Art degree posthumously just yesterday. She probably would have worked for a non-profit and started a political career or found some such way to make a difference. There's so much more I would like to share about the fantastic person Alex was. A life, even one of just 23 years, can't be summarized in a few minutes. She impacted many around her, and more often than not in a good way. So that through that impact, she is still present and will continue to be here. Alex was also an organ donor, and her kidneys were transplanted to 2 recipients who, I understand, are doing well so far, so some of her body lives on too.
I invite Professor Deborah Green to come share.
She confirmed she was going to be here, but I couldn't see her come in.
Okay. As we listen to Holger share about Alex, and we understand that life takes many epochs and eras and different phases, but consistently throughout her life, a continuous thread is that Alex was a very passionate individual. She's a very dynamic and fluid individual. As I look at the slides that have shown behind me, very few of those images are posed, right? Many of them are images that are taking place in the moment. They're active images. They're all candid. Even the photo on the front of this, the pamphlets that y'all receive as y'all enter, or was a picture she never truly liked because it felt too contrived. She was talkative, engaging, and opinionated about most things. Alex would usually have a stance on most anything that was going on in life. This fueled a deep, curious intelligence about expanding and learning more about the issues that are at hand and how they affected not just one aspect of people, but all people, and trying to broaden her understanding. She was engaging with strangers. As Holger said, she made friends easily. Whenever it came to moving from Chicago, she didn't want to come because of friends. And when her life tried to take her away from Wichita, she didn't leave because of friends. Wherever she went, and wherever Alex has been, she leaves in her wake many friends. As a young child, this made her a bright and a cheerful persona. While in our modern convention we think of the word passionate as a good word, right, in our very corporate understanding of being engaged. The root understanding of the word passion, it means to suffer. Each of you are here today because you are aware that to love someone invites pain. The very inquisitive and engaging attributes that made Alex the bright person she was caused her to have an overwhelming concern for society at large. It caused her to have a big heart for others. Her hobby as a photographer allowed her to try to put a different frame on life. She used her lens to put the world in a different perspective. Even in the practice of origami, of taking simple paper and shaping it into something different, shaping it something into a thing of beauty. Alex had a desire to go on and to try to shape this world into a thing of beauty. In her interest in human rights law. But the more and more she delved on that path, she came face to face with institutionalized patriarchy and capitalism. And Alex soon had to temper her expectations. But this didn't diminish the light that she brought to her immediate surroundings, into her world. She diligently worked to make her immediate surroundings better. She cared for those who were unhoused, taking in stray animals and connecting people with the resources they so desperately needed. She was a champion for the local charity. Knowing how much of every dollar went to the CEO's pocket of large nonprofits, she realized the best thing she could do was to engage in the injustice in front of her. There's a story, I imagine many of you have probably heard it, and it's elementary, but as I learned more and more about Alex, it just emerged to the forefront of my mind. It's the tale of the starfish. Many of y'all are familiar. It all started when a young girl was walking along a beach upon which thousands of starfish had been washed up during a terrible storm. When she came to each starfish, she would pick it up and throw it back into the ocean. People watched her in amusement. She had been doing this for some time when a man approached her and said, "Little girl, why are you doing this? Look at this beach. You can't save all of these starfish. You can't begin to make a difference." The girl seemed crushed, suddenly deflated. But after a few moments, she bent down, picked up another starfish, and hurled it as far as she could into the ocean. Then she looked up at the man and replied, "Well, I made a difference for that one." While Alex diligently worked to change her world, the never-ending onslaught of oppression continued to weigh on her. And from what I understand, it was palpable. Things that once brought joy seemed to fall flat. Alex began to withdraw from her friends, her primary source of happiness. And eventually, isolation paired with the challenges faced in this world snuffed out the intelligent, bright, and cheery child everyone knew. But as some of you who know the tale of the starfish, it does not end there. The old man looked at the girl inquisitively and thought about what she had just done. Inspired, he joined the little girl in throwing starfish back into the ocean. Soon others joined, and all the starfish were saved. Alex continues to do the work of justice in the ways that she has inspired, touched, and shaped you. No life truly disappears. No light is truly extinguished. No one can be deleted from existence. Alex lives on in the ways that she has made you the person that you are today. And the truth is, she has in some way. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. For Alex, this story is tremendously tragic. But you, as people who love and cherish her, continue to write her story. Invoking story, invoking the relationships, invoking the memories that you have of her. Alex is best represented in this space by those who have lived with her. And we create a moment, if anybody would like to come and share reflections upon who Alex is to them. You're more than welcome to come forward at this time.
I'm Doris Chang. 12 years ago, I met Holger, Alex, and Naomi at a lunch gathering at the Beacon organized by Dr. Dorothy Billings. At that time, Alex was about 12 years old. As a young girl, she had always been a sensitive soul who cared about the weak and the downtrodden in society. She also loved animals and volunteered to walk the dogs at the Humane Society. When Alex was a junior at WSU, she took my human rights course at the political science department. It was a great privilege that she considered me as one of her mentors. In our one-on-one conversations, I found her to be an impressionable young person whose passion was to rectify all the societal injustices. When Alex was troubled and depressed, several of us tried to seek help for her. But when her life was cut short so suddenly, I was in a state of shock. May Alex rest in peace. She will continue to live in our memories, our hearts, and our minds.
Sorry we're late, we often are. So I knew Alex I'm Debbie Gordon, and I knew Alex from Wichita State as an instructor and an advisor for women's studies majors. I didn't know her well personally, as some of you here did. Rather, I knew her intellectually, and I knew her political temperament. When I think of Alex, remembering conversations about her political passions, I can't help but come back to the recognition that I think she would have loved the current political moment, one in which the world is turning upside down on college campuses, and in one in which we appear to have a student movement like we haven't witnessed since the anti-apartheid student activism demanding universities divest from South African apartheid. I think Alex would have reveled in the kind of organized student power we see today. She would have had an aim for her passion and impatience with the world. She would have been able to escape the doldrums of the MOR, as I call it, sort of the more fear-driven, calculating era in which we've sort of been in. I can easily see her researching the WSU endowment, teaching all of us adults of academia how to see again the realities of trafficking and death with which we usually live, peacefully undisturbed. I can literally see her excitement in drawing back the curtain on where money comes from and where it goes for WSU, like her peers are doing today for Columbia University and CUNY. When I see her in my mind, delighted and part of a movement, I'm reminded of something, which is that just as some people are out of place, they don't align with where they literally live and work, so too people can be out of time. They can be born in the wrong era or the not quite right moment for their most valuable, essential person. Alex was intellectually curious and politically impatient, as others have noted, for change on climate justice and many other forces threatening our survival as a species. I think she would have run toward something like Students for Justice in Palestine and put her intellectual acumen to good use. And I think that what she would have gotten from a movement that she couldn't gotten from any of us, because it was about timing, is camaraderie. Camaraderie is different than friendship. It's different than many other things. And we don't have that many times we can point to in the history of universities where that takes place among students. But I think that would have fit her very well. All of which is to say that I'm so sorry that Alex is still not with us, and I'm so sorry she may have missed a time in which I think she would have thrived.
Hello, I'm Kent Rowe. I knew Alex many years ago when we were shuffling furniture from the apartment to where they were going to be moving at that time. And I'm just oblivious to these girls, and there they were, practically normal, seemingly having fun, being who they are. And so all I know, too, about living in Kansas It's what some of the Plains Indians have always said. The pioneer women often took their own lives because of the wind. The relentless wind, the parched, dry, relentless time they would spend. And I agree with Debbie on that. My camaraderie starting at Washington University was Vietnam. We really had to stop that carnage. And we shut the campus down, of all places, here in Wichita. And during those times, I did meet Stuart Udall, who happened to be coming to Kansas. He was Secretary of Interior under JFK. And he really started me on the path of something bigger, larger, that we should all be involved in, and that is the environment and the demise of the environment. So all of us could be reassured that there is something to live for, no matter what loneliness we may have inside of us and what agony we may be going through. There's always something to give you hope, and for you to give hope to someone else. And I'll relate a story that I've heard. Some of you may have heard this, but it is true and documented. A man was hanging off the rail at the Oakland Bay Bridge. Young man. And he was just there, hanging on, ready to let go. People were driving up, stopping their vehicles, getting out of their cars, pleading with him, "Oh, it's not that bad, it's not that bad, it's okay, nothing can be that bad." But it didn't work. And this was a survivor of this fall from the Oakland Bay Bridge. And when he said, later on, when he let go, he wanted to live. When he hit the water, he went down 40 feet. Broken ligaments, torn cartilage, all of the things that happen. You can't move. And as the story relates, until the Coast Guard arrived with a police boat, dolphins flipped in the water to keep his body afloat. He was unable to really move. And they fished him out of that water, and he made a recovery. And then today goes around these travel and lecture series. So, does it exist on the frontal lobes? I don't think so. It's somewhere deeper down that we don't know how to reason with. But remember, this is Kansas. It is a difficult place to live for people who are not seeing the spirits in the wind and seeing the wonderfulness that this has and has been for millennia. There is always hope. Thank you.
I have attended memorials. Old enough now, I've attended a lot of them and met several here. And the very opening words here that Joe made about moments, our lives with various people are made of moments. And I've been contemplating this since the beginning here. And I have to say, I really didn't know Alex that well, but I ran into her 4 different times. And all 4 of them are in almost the same place, in the student center at WSU, by that coffee bar that's away from the food ranch over there. And my friends were playing music for one of these Wednesday afternoon things, lunch things, and Holger introduced me to her. And I had a very short chat with her because the music was about to start. And then the next 3 times I ran into her, there were weeks or months in between. And the next time I came walking through the CAC, just happened to be there, and she was sitting in almost the same place, same area. And I was walking up there and I couldn't remember her name. I was already getting ready to say, I'm so sorry, I can't remember your name, but I know who you are, you're Holger's daughter. And so I walked up there and she looked at me when I got close. She goes, oh, hi, Charlie. And so going down. Now I really got to go, oh my God, now I'm really embarrassed. So I sat down and I said, well, thank you for remembering my name. I don't remember yours. And I was kind of sitting like this on the edge of the table and she says, that's okay. I'm Alex. And then the next two times I saw her, and there was a space between the next two times. It was all by the same place. And I said, I know you're Alex now. She said, yeah. So these moments we put together, I started thinking about that because many of the people that I've known, it's really true. You have a moment with somebody. Now, I didn't know Alex very well, but I started thinking about this a long, long, long time ago about we know acquaintances and whatever, and I always have felt that like maybe we should try to make some of these acquaintances friends. And I would just encourage everybody to stay in touch with each other, and I really appreciate everybody being here today too.
So I recognize some people here, a lot of people I don't, but that's all right. Alex would have loved that everyone came, and honestly, she probably would have been really tickled that this many people came out to talk about her, if I'm being quite honest. I was Alex's best friend in high school, along with many other people, most of whom I see in this room right now, and Alex, as a friend, was honestly probably the best friend anyone could ever even ask for. She would give you the shirt off her back. She would give you the last dollar in her wallet if it was something you needed, even if it was just something you wanted. She adopted so many people. She was always looking to expand her family, always looking for new people to share her life with. And she really just threw herself in headfirst to everything she did. And it's a rare person who can really do that and still manage to excel in their life. So, again, she would also really hate everyone crying right now. She would be so upset that you guys are crying over her. But she would love that you guys all came, and she would say thank you. So, on Alex's behalf, thank you guys for coming and sharing in her.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Connolly, and I met Holger and Alex about 12 years ago at the Beacon, and I had many a good conversations with her young self, and she was always fun to talk to. She was very excited about everything and very passionate about everything, and then we did Earth Day events, and she was always helping me and always helping everybody else. But I want to tell you, I know where she got all of her passion, and that was from her father. He gave it to her from the day she was born, I can tell. He is the most caring man that I've ever seen. Sorry, Kent. And I think it's been passed down to his children, and I appreciate knowing the whole family because they're very sweet and very loving, and they would do anything for anybody.
Holger and I were both teaching at WSU in the early 2000s, which I think is when we met. And I knew about the estrangement of the family and the situation with the girls' moms. and I was going through a divorce myself, so we had dinners often, birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and it's a sad day, but I'm trying to remember that we're here to cherish the good person that Alex was. She, like her sister, just as intelligent, just as bright, just as beautiful. Lots of potential, and the passion we've already mentioned. I have to say, I remember one time we were at Thanksgiving dinner. Usually my table was full. I had a couple of roommates because I had a big old Eastboro house. I would rent out 2 or 3 rooms to internationals that were working for Cessna or whatever, and so I invited whoever was there. And I think we did the thing where you go around the table and say something that you're thankful for. And I probably said it was great to have everybody with me, and only one of my daughters was there, the younger, I think. It was wonderful to have us all together. And when it came to Alex's turn, and she was maybe 14. I think she was at East High, but she really just went off on a, about how the rest of the world is living, and how many people were food insecure and housing insecure, and it really made me think about maybe the fact that my sweet potatoes and the dressing were not at the same temperature when I put them on the table as they should be was one of those third world problems, and I should shut the hell up. But her dad politely just looked at her like, continue now, and we got around their table and we enjoyed our meal. She stayed with me for 5 or 6 days when he was on a work trip when she was 13, or turned 13. I think the blue dress picture in my driveway was before the 8th grade dance at Robinson. So it's fun to remember that she was still excited then and excitable. And, you just went and met your friends there, and maybe the guy you liked would be there too, and you'd get to dance. And I'd done that with my kids at Robinson. So it was fun to watch her go through that again. She helped me a few other times when Holger was back home and she was busy with other things, but somewhere in my 5,000 pictures that we store on our phones and on our laptops, there's a picture of her helping at a fundraiser Valentine's tea for our Hungarian partner church, which we did in 2012, 2013, one of those. And I have a picture of her on my roof cleaning the leaves out of the gutter and throwing them down so we could sweep them up. She was somebody who would help you if you ask. She was somebody whose heart bled for every unfortunate that didn't have what she had. I'm sad to say that in the later years, we can all second guess ourselves and things we should have said or done. And I saw her posts on Facebook when she was struggling, and last year we were on vacation when I got to read a large part of it. And I had asked Holger, is he aware of this? And he said yes, but my daughter's not listening to me right now, and thank you, we know. And at one point she asked me, I'm thinking about the Unitarian Church, and can I come by and see you sometime? Ask you some questions. And at the time, I was so concerned about her mental state that my partner, who's not here today, her son's graduating from pharmacy school at KU, said, stop reading those posts. You need to block that. It's so upsetting. And I couldn't block it, but I did ignore that one because I said, her dad's like the most active member of our church, and he's been the president of our congregation so many times. Why would she ask me about our church? She would just ask her dad. She knows we meet at 11. She can come anytime. She'd been here for different events. And then, of course, after the fact, you see that maybe it was an announcement that I need someone to talk to, or, that cry for help. I'm so grateful about the kidneys, because I am sure that would please Alex. And although we say, in this spark of the universe somewhere, I would want Alex to know if she could hear, she was loved by all of her parents and her other adults in her life and her fellow students. And part of me thought that she knows how much she's loved, but the other part says, you look at all the crap going on in the world, and it's easy to say, oh, and maybe I interpreted her needs less than I should have, or as less important and less real. I loved what Dr. Gordon said about where she would be now. I totally agree with that. And I'm watching also all the protests on the campuses and say, yes. And now get out and raise hell that they are canceling their graduations and so on, because they deserve to have free expression that is guaranteed in this land. I wish we had had more time with the precocious Alex that we remember. But I believe, like we say in church often, that our joys radiate out, and that people who knew her and knew what she stood for will continue to help the less fortunate, those who are hungry, those who found a dog at the Herman Hill Water Park on Earth Day. That we continue with our time and treasure to support organizations that worked for things Alex cared about. She cared about it so much. And we thank her, and we thank the universe for giving her to us those 23 years.
Alex's younger sister Naomi has been my best friend for about 9 years now, so inherently I've gotten to spend a good amount of time with her on all of the occasions that I was at their house, and I just wanted to briefly speak to some of the experiences where Alex proved to be one of the most selfless people and always And I think that in the moment we maybe didn't appreciate that as much as looking back on it now. She really did do a lot for us, and just was always so much fun to be around, playing lots of great music, sharing lots of stories. And a lot of people have talked about her passions and all of the issues that she cared about and talked about. And given that she's several years older than us, I probably didn't really understand as much as I would now if I were able to speak to her again. And then one specific experience that I remember is Naomi and I went to Nashville for a week 3 years ago to do a volunteering / internship experience at a state park. And Alex volunteered to drive us there, which it's an 11-hour drive, and spend a whole week with us there. And that is the only reason that we were able to go. And I now attend university in Nashville, so that experience definitely helped me get into where I go now. And that week was just really fun. She took us to different restaurants, different parks, just different areas around the Nashville area. And I just think the fact that she gave up like a week of her life, she dropped kind of whatever she could have been doing for a whole week here in Wichita with her friends and family here, and volunteered to take us out there. I'm definitely really grateful for that, and I think Naomi and I both remember that experience very fondly. So unfortunately, I think once Naomi and I got older, I spent less and less time at their house as we were off doing other things, and so I spent less time with Alex. I definitely wish that I had gotten to spend more time with her in the more recent years, but yeah, so definitely remembering her for her selflessness and yeah.
Hi, my name is Charlie Jenny, and I got to know Alex at an interesting time in a person's life. I was her 7th and 8th grade science teacher, so I got the joy of giving her the district's line on terms of sex ed and things like that. Getting to know someone in 7th and 8th grade, I just remember her having a huge amount of patience with the 7th grade boys. And if you've ever spent any time around a 7th grade boy, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But I remember she was incredibly intellectual and also very patient, but also I remember her correcting some of the young boys at times because it was a learning experience and they needed to learn, and she was the best person to teach it to them because if an 8th grade young lady tells you the way things are, it comes off a whole lot better than a 40-something male teacher. I do want to say this, I first met Holger's daughters, the family, in middle school when I was teaching them, and you're always nervous as a science teacher to realize that the parent of your students is a professor of physics at WSU. So I was trying to teach them basic Newtonian mechanics and things like that, and I think if I recall right, when Alex was in 8th grade and I was like, okay, I needed to make sure that my game was good and I was teaching to enough of a level that Alex could be challenged. I think I actually taught her grade a little bit of trigonometry just so that I could give them some harder physics problems. Because she was that kind of a person. She would ask to be challenged, and if you didn't challenge her, she would ask again, and she would show some frustration. But I just want to let you know that with a young person like that, getting to know them at that point in their life, it really is a great joy to be part of their development and part of their growing up. And Alex will, and Naomi, be part of my life. Again, I remember her very, very fondly in helping me step up my game.
Circling back to the notion that there is not enough time, I mean, short of 23 years, 24 years, to convey the entirety of experience. The words have been spoken, thoughts have been shared, memories, there's been laughter, there's been tears. And as we said, I would invite us all to take a moment to reflect within our own hearts, in our own pain, in our own joys, while we have a brief musical interlude to reflect. to engage in sharing life with one another, is to live in a way that is marked with passion. And while today hearts break in suffering, the suffering cannot eclipse the passion that is also love and engagement and concern for this greater world. If Alex could leave a mark on this world that changed it for the better, even if it meant each single person here doing one thing to contribute to the cause of justice, that life is a life that could change this world. So each of y'all continue to carry the torch that shines bright light, but in the pain burns us. And continue to carry the light that is Alex into the dark spaces of this world. We invite you all to stay, to continue the stories, to continue the reflections, and to continue the sharing in the grief and in the joy, in the light and in the dark. And to know that in this grief that you are not alone, that there are people grieving alongside you today, that your voice and your experience matters, and it matters to those around you. So we invite you to be well. Please stay, please share. I know there's some origami paper somewhere around this place. Make something beautiful, because you know that's what Alex would do. While we're talking, she would have been folding. So be well, my friends.